Evening and welcome to IT Sligo. My name is Ruth Walsh and I'll be your host for this evening. We would like to welcome any career guidance counsellors, any parents, and in particular, any prospective students who are considering this course. We welcome you here this evening. We are delighted to talk to you this evening about our new programme, our Bachelor of Arts in Law and Business. The programme development team, we've been working on this programme over a number of years, and we believe it to be a really dynamic degree programme, and we are really excited about it. There's just a few housekeeping rules just to begin with, which I can just run through. This webinar should last approximately 30 to 40 minutes, and we have set aside some time for questions, and we will deal with the questions at the end. The webinar is being recorded, and this relates just to the panel members and not to the attendees. So the attendees are not visible throughout, so you can just sit back and relax. In relation to any questions, you will see that at the bottom on the toolbar, there is a Q&A section, and you can type in any questions you may have there. We'll be monitoring the questions throughout, and we will deal with those at the end of the webinar. I will also give you my email address at the end, and if you have any further questions that you would like to ask, please feel free to email me with any further questions. The questions in the Q&A section are visible to all, so please do not include any personal information such as email address or mobile number in that section. So I am delighted to introduce the panel and tell you a little bit about what each speaker will cover. The first speaker is Dr. Michael Barrett. He's the head of faculty of Business and Social Sciences. And Michael will speak to you this evening to give you an overview in relation to IT Sligo.
Hello.
Thank you, Michael. The second speaker is Dr. Breda McTaggart. Breda is the head of Department of Social Sciences, so she will give you an overview of the department and of the joint major programs, and it is within this department that this program sits.
Good evening all.
Thank you, Breda. We will then move on to a short presentation in relation to the program, and I will deal with the first half of that. So as I said, my name is Ruth Walsh and I'm a law lecturer here in the college. And I will deal with the law strand of the degree. I will then pass you over to my colleague, Dr. Cara Moran, who is a lecturer of economics and marketing and also a member of the program development team.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you, Carol. And then we are delighted to have two guest speakers here this evening. Our first guest speaker is David Minton. He is director at Northern and Western Regional Assembly. The Assembly will work with key stakeholders at EU, national and at regional level for effective regional development.
Thanks, Ruth.
Okay, thank you, David. And our second guest speaker is Michelle O'Boyle. Michelle is a solicitor here in Sligo, and she is also the former president of the Law Society of Ireland in 2019 to 2020. And the need for role models in any line of business is necessary to inspire the next generation. And we are very fortunate here in Sligo to have Michelle to provide us with that guidance and with that inspiration, both from a women in law perspective, but also for all of us based locally. It's fantastic to see one of our own holding such a prominent role.
Thank you very much, Ruth, and good evening to everybody.
Thank you, Michelle. At the end of the session, we will have a question and answer session, and I will introduce the other members of the program and development team who will deal with the question and answers at that point. So we will make a start of the webinar. So I would like to hand you over to Dr. Michael Barrett.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank and congratulate Dr. Breda McTaggart and her team on bringing this wonderful course to fruition. In both, some of her colleagues are here, Ruth, Esther, John, Lorraine, and Carol, but they were backed by a large team of staff who've been working for over 2 years to bring this program to launch today. The students who join our program in September will join 1,800 students in the Faculty of Business and Social Sciences in IT Sligo, and hopefully in 3 years' time will be one of the almost 2,000 graduates of the Sligo branch of the Technological University for the Northwest. We really look forward to the Technological University proposal advancing quickly over the next number of months, and we see this as being very important, both for the region and nationally. Also, we're looking at developments with St. Angela's College over the next number of months as well, and hopefully St. Angela's College and ourselves will join the Technological University early next year. So without further ado, just to thank everyone as I've had already, and thank Ruth, and thanks very much, Ruth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. So I'd now like to hand you over to Dr. Breda McTaggart, the Head of Department of Social Sciences.
And hello again, everybody. This Department of Social Sciences would have 700 students. So you join a group of 700 people, but within that, 100 of those are master's and postgraduate students. And within that, we also have 2 sections. One section which really looks at professional studies and practices, but one section which is arts. And when we talk about arts, we're talking about liberal arts degrees that you would find in any university in the country. We started this journey of Arts Award, Joint Majors Arts Award, many, many years ago with my colleagues here present tonight. We talked about what we needed in our region, what our students wanted, what our career guidance teachers were telling us, what our marketing colleagues. And like every good idea, it takes several years to get it to fruition. So we started with English and psychology and sociology and politics, and they were as successful as we could have ever hoped them to be. It brought new students to our campus, it brought fun to our corridors, and it brought an ethos of, you know, we are a region and we are also, arts is okay to do in this region, and there is good opportunities out of it, and your colleagues will speak to that tonight. And then we had the law on business in our head, and we really knew this was something that our region wanted, our students wanted, because they kept asking us on open days. And we finally got to the point where we were in a position to get this program. And it isn't possible without experts in law. So I'm very privileged to stand up here or sit up here and talk about having this award. But really this award is about this team of wonderful lecturers and both on the side of law and business that you would have the privilege of meeting over years. They will keep you safe, they will guide you. If your parents present, we can assure you we know our students' names, and that can be, you know, a wonderful thing for students. But they'll get you prepared for meeting Michelle in the future, meeting David in the future, meeting industry in the future. You will get a really sound theoretical underpinning, and you will be challenged on the way. And there'll be many debates and arguments with Carol and Ruth about the right way to do things. But that's okay, because when you leave here, you will have both a wonderful education, but you leave here with something tangible for you to get on with your career. But there's another part to college life. There's the part where you meet your friends. And because while it sounds quite a large number, like we have 10,000 students in the whole IT Sligo, and we'll be 20,000 when we come to university, it's still very a friendly campus that you will get to know your friends. They will be the people who will be at your big occasions in your lifetime. So you'll be part of the arts community, and we ensure that you get supported, that you get to fit in, that you get to enjoy your learning journey, because you will be successful if you integrate well in it, and we work very, very hard on that, and the team does. So from my point of view, I suppose I am delighted to be this far tonight, to be part of a team who are launching a program. To be able to say we have law and business in Sligo is a privilege for me. But more important, to the mums and the dads and those who are about to sort out the leaving this uncertain year, and the career guidance teacher, you know, I can give you my assurance that our students do well, they could, because they belong to us. We treat them with the respect they deserve, and they obviously work very, very hard for us. So I think it's a good place to come, and we'd be delighted to enjoy and get you to our arts community in IT Sligo. So thank you very, very much, Ruth.
Thank you, Breda. So now Carol Moran and I are going to do a short presentation in relation to the program. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so it's a Bachelor of Arts Honours in Law and Business. So it is a 3-year honours degree program. And it is the only program in this field available within the Northwest and the Midland region that offers this joint majors in a 3-year honours degree. We developed this program in partnership with industry. So we consulted with regional law firms, with regional accountancy firms, with public sector bodies, with financial, with insurance companies. And we very much took on board what the skills and the knowledge that they felt would be necessary for future careers with them. And we believe that the possibilities for graduates of this joint majors program are varied and dynamic. So just to give a program overview. So the students will divide their time between law and business, while also exploring the connections between these fields of study. The skills of legal and business graduates have merged in many aspects, and students will attain this knowledge alongside computing and information technology skills required for the commercial world. So the students will study in equal share law and business, and how these two fields overlap and how they interrelate. And this will be done, as we say there, alongside learning computing and information technology skills. So just looking at the law strand. So on this course, we will look at traditional law subjects are covered to give students a good foundation should they wish to continue their studies further to qualify as a solicitor or barrister. So we would cover, so when I talk about traditional law subjects, I'm talking there about the Irish legal system, about the courts, about the constitution, company law, contract law, criminal law. So those kind of traditional law subjects. The very exciting thing about this course is that we've also included a number of subjects in emerging areas, such as governance and compliance, data protection and privacy, company secretarial, business sustainability, ethics and social media, just to name a few. And I think if I just touch on some of those, in relation to governance and compliance, the financial sector in Ireland has undergone huge changes in the last 10 years. And we've seen in the news just recently, Davy stockbrokers being fined €4 million by the Central Bank of Ireland for breaches of the EU market rules. And I think this just gives an indication of the need for more robust enforcement of these regulations to protect consumers and investors. In relation to data protection, there were more than 6,000 data protection breaches were notified to Ireland's Data Protection Commissioner last year alone. And so this just shows, that what a growth area this is and what a need for expertise in this area and how important that is. Also in the news recently, there's been Twitter has been fined, again, $500,000 for breaching the privacy and data of their customers. And there is ongoing investigations into other large tech companies in this area. In relation to business sustainability, We have seen an increase in the number of small companies using more green practices. And this is often driven by a consumer demand. And I think we'll continue to see a growth in this area. Also, we've had our new climate action bill has been introduced just this year, and which this provides a legally binding framework to ensure that we achieve our climate neutral economy by no later than 2050. So again, so these are just some of the areas that we have identified to the program development team that we identified as emerging fields of study, and we've included modules in these areas in the degree program. We also include in this program a number of professional skills. So the program also includes several professional skill modules, which will provide students with the practical skills and knowledge which will equip them for employment and professional practice in a range of sectors. So what I'm talking about here, we're talking about communication skills, legal research skills and legal citation, academic writing skills, critical thinking, problem solving and teamwork skills, negotiation and interviewing skills, and mediation skills. And these are all essential skills for any graduate. I will now hand you over to my colleague, Dr. Carl Moran, who will deal with the business strand.
Thank you, Ruth. So in the business strand, you're going to cover all of the core business subjects that you will need in order to be successful in business. And I just want to, make you aware from the start that when we talk about a career in business, it's not necessarily working for a company that is operating for profit. These are skills that are also required in the public sector, also with charities and other NGOs. So really, the possibilities for a business graduate are endless. And particularly if that is combined with your legal knowledge, it does make you a very attractive graduate. So we'll cover areas like marketing, management, economic, finance, and organizational behavior, which is actually one of my own favorites, because here you study the organization almost like its own living thing. You understand how it works, why it works, what motivates people, how do people become good leaders. And you'll also learn a little bit about yourself in terms of your own personality and how you deal with situations in the business environment. And all of that is really building you to a point where you're able to analyze and evaluate any of the business and legal issues that will be encountered by the organizations that will employ you into the future. In addition to this, we've also identified that there is a growing need to understand the digital world. Obviously, with our current conditions, even the fact that this launch is online, it means that really every business is going to look different in 2 years' time, never mind 10 or 15 years' time. So we understand that our students need a better understanding of data, of social media, and also digital change. And digital change is not just about, buying new computers and new technology. It's also about helping people to adapt to those changes, giving them the skills, and change management in and of itself is something you will learn about. So you will also learn about ICT applications, that's information communications technology. You'll learn about data analytics, and this is really important because business analysts need to understand their business. So if a business is losing money, why is it losing money? But also data related to your customers. Why do some customers keep coming back? Why are others never seen again? This is all really important information that's really valuable to organizations in making decisions that are going to make them a viable entity into the future. Also with the web and social media analytics, you'll get a much better understanding of this whole world, both as a customer. So when you search for something in Google, why do you get different results to perhaps your brother or your sister? Why, when you're reading an Irish Times article, will they suggest a particular one for you to read next? But also from a business perspective, how can I be the first company that is listed when somebody searches for my services? And don't forget, that if you do pursue a legal career and you become a solicitor and develop your own practice, you then also become a business person. You'll need to advertise your services. You'll need to make sure that your organization is profitable. You'll have to employ people and recruit. And these are all skills that you will learn through the business strand of this degree. And all of this is in the context of digital transformation. We are preparing graduates for businesses of the future, not businesses as they have been in the past. When you have completed your first 2 years, in your final year, you'll have the opportunity to undertake an applied project or a dissertation. And I think what's really nice about this is that it gives you a little bit more control over your learning, because working with your supervisor, you will decide what topic you want to study. And by this time, you might have decided, I'm definitely leaning towards a legal career, or I'm definitely leaning towards something in marketing or finance. And it means then you have the opportunity to embrace that and to deepen your understanding. So it's a combination of looking at the information that already exists in your area of interest, and then under the supervision of your supervisor, undertaking your own independent research and discovering something new, which is ultimately what the goal of research is. Now, on completion of this graduate programme, you may also be interested in undertaking some further studies. So you will be in a position to apply to progress to level 9 and 10 programmes, both in institutes of technology and also in universities in Ireland. Now, each of these organisations will have their own criteria, but with your honours level 8 degree, you are in a position to apply. So we have been very careful about what we have chosen to include in this programme, because if students are interested in pursuing a career as a teacher, you will be in a position to go on and complete a professional master's in education to become qualified as a post-primary teacher. If you decide that it is a legal career that you want, there are various postgraduate programs that you can then undertake to prepare you for the FE1 exams, which will be the first step in becoming a solicitor. And of course, there are master degree programs in a variety of the business areas. So you will find taught research masters or fully research masters in areas of marketing, human resource management, economics, whatever it is that you fancy. So I'm going to put you back over to Ruth now, and she'll talk to you a little further about the careers.
Thank you very much, Carol. So on this slide, we've set out here under this heading Career Opportunities. You can see the many of the varied and rewarding careers that will be open to you as a graduate of this programme. So you could have a career in law, solicitor, in-house counsel, barrister, legal executive, or other court personnel, or ADR, alternative dispute resolution, so working in mediation or arbitration. So all of those areas are coming in under the area of law. And then there's lots of other banking and finance, insurance, human resource management, digital transformation, governance and compliance, data protection, privacy, company secretarial, sustainability, ethics, social media, advocacy workers, disability officers. So these are all career opportunities that we would have identified as the program development team, and the modules are aimed towards careers in this area. Just in relation to, I think people, queries have asked about whether or not this program, in relation to becoming a solicitor, so what the steps are. So any graduate, whether it is of a law degree or an arts degree, or be it an engineering degree or whatever degree, they have to sit the entrance exams to the Law Society of Ireland, the FE1s, which Carol referred to there. And so on this program, we give you a good foundation in those core subjects required for those exams. Some students will prepare for the entrance exams on their own, and other students may benefit from further studies. And generally, these come in the form of FE1 focused tuition courses, which some students may wish to do. Okay, so if we move on then to, well, I think that's it. So that we've come to the end of this presentation, and in relation to the course, and you'll see there my email address is there, walsh.ruth@itsligo.ie. So if you wish to ask a question, you've got two options. You can either put it in the Q&A section on this evening, or you can email after the webinar. Okay, so now I'd like to hand you over to our first guest speaker of the evening, to David Minton, Director of Northern and Western Regional Assembly.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for that introduction. I might just try and share my screen, and maybe while I'm doing that, I might Thank you, Ruth. You can see that. That's okay. I suppose, firstly, most importantly, I'm delighted to be here this evening. It reminds me, as I was talking, just and seeing individuals like Susan on the panel, it reminded me of my own Leaving Cert when I remember getting my results and my mother crying when I failed to get into my own law degree at the time. So I still carry that weight. So it's great to see the options that are available now to graduates of the Leaving Cert. So well done to everybody. My mother still isn't over it, but at 41, I'm still striving to make her proud. But I suppose, look, most importantly, I'm delighted to be with you this evening, albeit virtually. I always welcome the opportunity to support IT Sligo in its work. I suppose the launch tonight for me is another example of how the institution is continuously innovating and responding to the needs, as you just touched on there, Ruth, of both local current employers, but I suppose most importantly, the employers of the future. And I've had the opportunity to work internationally and I suppose all across Ireland. And the one element that continuously stands out to me about the work of IT Sligo is really the deep connectivity it has with industry and employers all across the region. I would probably go as far as speculating that the president and your own team know each and every employer personally and their company needs across the Northwest, the Midlands, and even further afield. I suppose that the Bachelor of Arts in Law and Business is another great example of how the institution is responding to those needs, both of public and private employers in the region now, but most importantly, as I said to you, in the future. What stands out to me is not just the traditional skills, as Carol took us through some of the core skills there, but it's not just the traditional skills and modules in the business and law BA, but the actual integration of business sustainability, governance, data analytics, but also a real focus on professional problem solving skills. You know, students entering the workforce now will be entering a world that is going to be greener, more digital, and more independent. It'll be essential that all of our employees of the future have these kind of core skills to be able to work independently and remotely. I suppose I've got a very short period to talk, and as I said, I never thought I'd stand in front of a room full of solicitors and lawyers. So I'll take the opportunity maybe to share some of my experience. And I thought maybe the best way to do that was to tell you, I suppose, about the two images below that you can see on the screen. One is a snapshot of the past and probably a missed opportunity. The other one, the second one that you're looking at on top is I suppose, a shot of the future. And if anybody can guess, give me an answer, and I'll let Ruth supervise the question box. If anybody, particularly the students, can give me an answer to what that building at the bottom is, we'll send them a surprise in the post, a surprise gift from the Northern and Western Regional Assembly. But I'll give it 5 seconds while I ramble on. But if anybody, even within the panel, can guess what that building is, I will provide a gift. If there's no answers to that, I suppose the first picture below is a building called Black Sod Terminus in Mayo, and it was originally it was the landing railway station designed to be built on a reef of kind of projected rock at Blacksod Bay over in County Mayo. And its original intention was to be a terminus for all transatlantic traffic between North America and Europe. And its intention when it was designed was to have an interconnected railway line between Mayo and Dublin. And I suppose ultimately what happened was Liverpool in the UK became that point of connection. And today, just to give you an example, the marine sector in Liverpool is worth over 650 million to the local economy. And I suppose the question is, why did it happen? And the reality is there was a businessman named Blaithwaite. His family name was Blaithwaite. And he had legal documents drawn up just before 1915. But a mishap in the legal correspondence caused a delay in the signing of the contracts for that transatlantic terminus in County Mayo. And they never got signed. And then, of course, what happened in 1915 was that the First World War broke out. And unfortunately, if Blaithwaite had had a BA in business and finance, we may not have had that, I suppose, delay in the delivery of the terminus, and we would have created a whole different future for the region. But I suppose most importantly, and the purpose of tonight, is that we have to look to the future. And the future is not about big physical infrastructure, but it's about, you know, high performance computing, data analytics, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things. And it's about creativity and the commercialization of what we know now as innovation. And what I'd like to say really is it's a world where we totally invalidate all kinds of imitation. Innovation becomes king and queen of everything. So the terminus building of the future is going to be driven completely by data. And intellectual property and the protection of intellectual property or IP will become critical to business. And we know this. And that's why I suppose there's a region-wide consortium consisting of innovation leaders across the third level institutes of GMIT, NUIG, LYIT, but led by IT Sligo, has been selected as one of 2 digital innovation hubs that is hopefully going to see over 20,000 SMEs over the next 4 years served out of IT Sligo. And this is a transformative project that kind of runs parallel with the development in the Connacht Ulster Alliance, and the fact that when the graduates who come to do your course are going to leave, they're not just leaving with a qualification from an institute of technology, they're now going to be leaving with a qualification in a technological university. And this transformation, I suppose, in SMEs, industry, and the public services is going to require managers, it's going to require, you know, I suppose, people with expertise and understanding of business and legal affairs. So I suppose to finish, I have to commend the course directors, Ruth Walsh and Lorraine Murphy and Dr. Carol Moore and all the team for getting the programme to this stage, and certainly encourage, I suppose, primarily, I suppose, those considering, I suppose, applying to IT Sligo to strongly consider making that the first choice, but also, I suppose, to the career guidance people on the line as well, to look at, I suppose, the future of jobs and really where IT Sligo has positioned itself both nationally and internationally as a leader in that, and I suppose really underpinned by its core relationships with all industry and employers across the region, giving the students of the future the opportunity to seamlessly transition from training, education into employment. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk to you tonight, and I look forward to the questions and answers, and best of luck to all of the other panel speakers as well.
Thank you very much, David. I'm afraid I was unable to identify that terminus building, but delighted to hear the news about the new digital hub. So thank you for that. So finally, we hand over to our last guest speaker of the evening, to Michelle O'Boyle.
Thank you, Ruth, for that very warm introduction, indeed for the excellent PowerPoint presentation, which gives us a very good insight into the Bachelor of Arts Law and Business programme. And I address you this evening in my capacity as a lawyer, but also as a business owner, because the truth is, as Dr. Carol Moran has said, a significant number of solicitors open their own practices or join an existing practice. And therefore, as well as practicing our profession as lawyers, we are running a business. And it is one thing having the legal qualification, but an entirely different matter having the business acumen and skills to run a successful practice. And in my view, both skills go hand in hand, and both skills are essential. And of course, as highlighted by Ruth, not all solicitors work in private practice. Many solicitors work in diverse areas identified by you, like in senior management teams, operational managers, paralegals, banking, insurance, government departments, and many lead very successful organizations, both nationally and internationally. And law has always been a fundamental part of business, and business has always been intertwined with law and legal regulations. And business students who study the interaction of law and business can anticipate the legal needs of their companies and comprehend how laws and regulations can impact business both in a positive and a negative way. And many businesses will face legal and regulatory challenges throughout their life cycles. And therefore, the combination of law and business is invaluable to a successful legal or business career. And in terms of my own background, when I undertook my legal training, I did so in NUIG, and I studied law with economics and French. And there's little doubt that the economics component gave me a great insight into business and has assisted in the success of my business and my career. And on the 30th of October, 1992, I recall very clearly, eagerly awaiting to throw away my L plates as a trainee solicitor and to finally sign my name as solicitor. And I never contemplated on that day that I would have the honour and the privilege to be appointed President of the Law Society of Ireland. I am the 4th female president in 150 years and the first female president with a practice outside of Dublin. And I did so coming from a Sligo-based two-solicitor practice and from a background of law and economics. So therefore, I did have a law and business background. And the truth is, there's no doubt that throughout my career, having both disciplines has definitely assisted me getting to where I am. And when I was appointed President of the Law Society in November 2019, there was a world of opportunities mapped out ahead of me, what I was going to do. However, like all of us, COVID-19 intervened, and my pathway clearly took a different route, as it were. And because of my business skills and my business acumen, I was able to navigate on behalf of the profession the challenges that they met along the way. Because traditionally, the role of a president, much of it is ceremonious roles where you're attending functions as a representative, both nationally and internationally. But come March of 2020, my role became one that I had to, as I say, navigate a pathway in uncharted waters for the profession of up to 20,000 solicitors. And the role very much, the ceremonial role fell by the wayside very much. And I had to look at innovative ways of practice. And somebody spoke earlier on about, the different elements of the program, which includes the core skills plus the emerging areas of practice. And funny enough, those emerging areas of practice are now becoming central to the practice of many lawyers. So, when I look at the skills that you can acquire on this course, when I look at the quality of the lectures, I see two of the lecturers who were on the call this evening, in fact, are both qualified solicitors. So to be able to undertake training in a university where your lecturers have the lived experience of being a lawyer and of being in practice, that is absolutely invaluable. Again, when I trained myself 30 years ago, again, I got a wonderful training at NUIG. But when I look at how sharp the skills have become now, when I look at how the lecturers are so entirely focused on preparing their students, and particularly at IT Sligo, preparing their students for career opportunities and a world of opportunities. Because I heard David saying there about his mother being disappointed, although I'm sure she wasn't, in relation to when he did his leaving certificate. There is no doubt that academic results, your leaving cert results, do not and should not dictate your career destiny. Because when you have paths available, as you have with this fantastic program. The opportunities that were open to me and to students perhaps who study in UCD or Trinity or UCC or right across the country, you have the same opportunities from undertaking a degree in some place like IT Sligo. So I certainly, the fact that I am from Sligo, I am absolutely thrilled to see a program of this quality being delivered here at IT Sligo. And if anybody's interest is piqued by, undertaking this particular course, I would certainly say that, your time, your 3-year degree course will be very well served, and you will have in front of you a world of opportunities. Whatever route you may decide to take, you're getting skills that can be used in both the business world, the legal world, in the academic world, working in government, as I say, working nationally and internationally. I have no doubt that the skills and training you will receive at IT Sligo on this particular program will definitely pivot you into a career that will, that you will enjoy into the future. So again, thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you this evening, and I hope that you have found this interesting.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and delighted that you feel able to give such a glowing account of our program. We're delighted to hear those words. So that is the end of all of the speeches. So now we're going to come to the question and answer section. So for this, I'm going to hand you over to 3 colleagues of mine from also members of the program development team, and also lecturers in the college, to Esther Quinn, to John Weir, and to Lorraine Murphy. So I think they've been monitoring the questions throughout, so I'll hand you over to John, I think, is it? Yeah.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much, Ruth. Yes, the questions are coming in, and the first question we're going to present to you is this one. It's actually directed to Michelle, and the question is, what advice, Michelle, can you give to anyone thinking of taking this degree?
Yeah, I suppose the fact that people are actually, anyone who's listening into this now, or perhaps when it's streamed later on, clearly their interest is piqued in the area, presumably, of business and of law. And I suppose, you have to challenge yourself in relation to, where your skills are. And if your skills are either in business or in law, I think that you can combine both skills very successfully into a career. And also, I think that my advice would be to kind of, I suppose, look carefully as to where your skills are and where you believe you want to be. And I think seeing is, see it means you can be it. And if you look at role models, or look at somebody whose career has interested you, I think that will assist you in making your ultimate decision. But I do think that starting in any career, having a very good basic discipline career, such as in law and business, will take you anywhere. Because very often, like many of us, and myself included, when I started off on my own academic journey, I didn't really know where I wanted to be or where I'd end up, but I can tell you, having a broad-based career has allowed me to develop sort of, and to nurture my skills, and I think that's what this career will do for you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. That's great advice. I think we'll pass over to Esther now. Esther has another question. Esther.
Thank you, John. Good evening. We have a question here for David, if you're still there. A student has asked, how important are legal and business skills and the synergies between them in preparing students for the business world today?
Thanks, Esther. Yeah, look, it's a great question, and what we're seeing from, I suppose, extensive engagement across both, I suppose, employers in the region, but also I think let's not forget public service providers in the region as well, and a lot of state agencies. When you're dealing with, I suppose, what we refer to as a kind of an entrepreneurial ecosystem, you're dealing with everything from state aid to intellectual property, and they're very complex areas to navigate. You're dealing with data analytics and I suppose intellectual property. So the convergence of both business and legal in a graduate is extremely important from a kind of from everything from a project management, program management, but also management of personnel within an organization. You know, really important basis. And I think most importantly, it probably gives a modern day graduate huge options to specialize after the BA. Because those two areas are when you're looking to recruit an individual, you know, having an understanding, I suppose, a general understanding of the business world, and I think Carol touched on it earlier on as well. It's not just about you know, operating with, you know, or within a startup or setting up your own business, but actually the acumen that it takes to work, you know, within an enterprise, or you know, from monitoring control projects, budget control, financial management, and then also, you know, very important elements like reporting and communicating, you know, the results of those programs. All those elements are really key. So, you know, the BA here is going to provide each of those elements to a graduate, and provide a really strong, I suppose, opportunity to specialize later on then afterwards.
Thank you very much, David. That's great. So we have another question from Connor. You have asked about the job opportunities available for law and business graduates, and specifically, more particularly to law as well. So Connor, obviously, as we've spoken about, the programme will provide students with a firm grounding in law, along with strong business and management skills. So really enabling students to choose from a very wide range of career opportunities, as we've spoken about tonight. So you could progress in a legal perspective for professional qualifications, such as a solicitor or a barrister, or equally as a legal executive, but also to pursue a wide range of other careers. For example, the funds industry in Ireland at the moment is thriving. Banking and finance, tax, insurance industry, and HR. And we've really seen an increasing need for expertise, particularly in relation to compliance. So you could possibly consider a role as a compliance officer, or in cybersecurity as well. And there's there's a need for skills specifically, as Ruth spoke about, in data privacy and protection as well. So in designing the programme, we considered the skills required in the market today and the future. And you asked specifically about legal as well. We've also seen an increase in demand for in-house legal opportunities as well. So there's definitely career opportunities in that route also.
If I could just add to that, it's very important at the beginning of the career not to pigeonhole yourself into a specific area, because the truth is, because this programme is so broad and so diverse, I mean, no doubt that students will find, as they develop along the course, that they'll find areas of interest. And then, of course, they can hone their skills in that area of interest. And because of it is such a diverse programme, as I say, it enables you to do so, because, you know, if you're doing, for example, a pure law degree, and you're doing only, for example, legal modules, you are of course destined probably to work in the areas as a solicitor or as a barrister, you know, but you don't have the business skills to allow you to go into perhaps managerial roles or other, you know, in-house roles. So I think it's important not to, at the early point, to pigeonhole yourself, but just to be open to explore the range of possibilities and see where your strengths lie within those possibilities.
That's great advice. Thank you, Michelle. John, do you have another question lined up there?
Yes, a question has come in from an anonymous person on points, and I think Dr. Breda McTaggart would like to address this question.
Thanks very much, John. A very relevant question. Arts degrees normally in Ireland in all the university sector would be about 300 points. They may go slightly below it, but they don't go much, and they may go slightly above it, but they don't much. So that would be our experience with our current arts awards. So I would say they're going to be probably between 280 and 310 would be the best guesstimate, because it does fluctuate a little bit every year. Obviously there'll be students with, you know, 500 points, but there is a threshold then that the lowest points would be, and it'll be between those two ranges there. And that would be normal for arts awards. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much, Breda. Yep. Another question actually has come in here. It's a very practical question. It's a question on how big will the class be? So I suppose how many students in the class? Well, as many Leaving Cert students are preparing to apply to various courses, you may know from brothers or sisters or friends at university that university classes can amount to hundreds of students. But at IT Sligo, and Rita alluded to this earlier, we envisage, at least in the early years of this degree, much smaller numbers, maybe around 20 students. And with smaller numbers come great advantages, insofar as smaller groups get to know each other much quicker, and smaller groups engender a very positive learning atmosphere. Students tend to help each other, and when they know each other, the lecturers also know the students. So we generally know all of our students by name, and that in itself lends to a very supportive environment where no student is left behind, and everybody is very encouraging of one another. And that's great when it begins like that in September, and it will go through for the entire degree. That was a good question. Thank you very much for the person who sent that in. I'll pass over now to Esther. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have one last anonymous question here asking what is unique about this programme. So I think we've spoken about the interdiscipline of studying a combination of law and business, which is a unique combination in relatively few higher education providers in Ireland. And as Michelle just mentioned, allowing students to explore their interest in both disciplines. So you've also mentioned, Michelle, how it's really important for legal professionals to be tech savvy and to be familiar with emerging technologies, but equally for business professionals as well, who, especially in recent times, but on an ongoing basis, who are increasingly faced with challenges in relation to corporate governance issues, data privacy issues, and even during the last 18 months, a lot of significant employment law issues, specifically with related to working from remote work issues. So really, I think the diversity and the variety of subjects on the programme and the transferable skills would be a big part of the appeal, which makes this programme unique. So I think with that, that's all our questions this evening. So I might just hand us back to Ruth to finish up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So we have come to the end of our webinar. So it just leaves me to thank all the panel members, but in particular to thank our two guest speakers, David Minton and Michelle O'Boyle, for attending and giving their time here this evening. And thank you all at home for watching. And if you have any further questions, you have my email address, which I provided earlier on. So thank you and good evening.
Good night all.
Thank you, everyone.